like you to answer the question, what do wetland birds eat and why? I think about relationships between the kind of food and the shape of beak. Prepare a menu for maybe 4 or 5 species of wetland birds, yes, and try to integrate this task with another kinds of children's activity, for example, math task, language. My opinion is really good example of constructivism method of education. In this presentation we have a motive of effective amazement, children's rights for interest, and in this task we can see how children step by step can build their knowledge about birds.
That's the mute swan. We have 3 species of swans in Europe, but only this one you can find everywhere in the parks close to humans. And as I told you, they're pair for life, and the pair cares for their chicks until they are quite grown up. You can see that they are preening, they are taking care of their feathers. Whenever an ornithologist is doing a survey of an area, he or she always picks all the water bodies that are there, the wet meadows, the water pools, the rivers, because there is quite a large number of bird species that are associated with water in various ways. We have swans here, and we have ducks, mallards. Yes, we are talking about them previously. These birds are very closely associated to water. You rather won't find them outside of when there are no water around, but at the same time they are able to come out of the water too. You can see by the swans. They are not in the water right now, they are standing on the banks. They have their legs located centrally, so it's not difficult for them to step out and keep their balance. But we have also birds that are even more associated with water in a way that they almost never come out of it. Okay, great crested grebe. Example of a bird that almost never leaves the water. And when their chicks come out, they often carry them on their backs. It's really cute looking. You have a grebe and 3 or 4 small heads protruding from its back. Their legs are located very, very far away on the very end of the body. Like you have a boat and you have that propeller at the end. Yes? So it's very effective in swimming, but it's very not effective when you want to come out of the water. It's difficult to hold balance. We have here pictures of 4 different birds, bird legs, bird feet in fact. All of them are adapted for swimming, yes, in different ways. All of their feet are flat to be able to paddle in the water. Any other adaptations? Weatherproof feathers, of course. One thing is that gland that produces that oily secretion, as I told you when we're talking about feathers. But the water birds also have lots of down. They have the cover feathers in the outer part, and between the skin and the outer feathers lots of down that makes them even more waterproof. So these are the adaptations that allow the birds to swim, to float on the water, or even dive in the water, but still their flight feathers are not soaking wet. But look at the pictures of the birds. Try to see the differences. All these birds here are called waders. Waders is a group of birds that are closely associated with water, but not in such a way as ducks or swans. So they don't swim on the water or do it very, very rarely. Instead, they feed on their legs. but you are not going to find them outside of water completely. But what is the main difference if you look at all these birds here? Shape of the beak, exactly. These birds, all of these birds, feed on small invertebrates, like worms, some larvae, some insects. So why do they have different bills if they feed on the same? Let's start with the first one. It should be the little ringed plover, not the ringed plover. You can see that the bill is short and stubby. Yes, short bill. So where does it take its food from?
The surface.
From the surface, exactly. It's a typical way. It runs very quickly, stops, picks something and runs away. It's like run, stop, pick, run, stop, pick. It's that way of foraging. So they take some insects and larvae from the ground, so from the sand shore or from the mud. Now the second one, turnstone, the name can tell you the way it feeds. Yes. So the bill is also short, but it's a little bit upcurved and it's sharp. So it's good for turning the stones and finding food below the stones or between the stones, exactly. These are the birds of wetlands that needs usually very specific water level, specific habitats. They also need specific places to stop over. Most of them are very long distance migrants, not all. For example, you can find avocets wintering in Europe, but the curlew sandpiper and the bar-tailed godwit, all of them fly to southern Africa. There are many, many wader species which are endangered, or even critically endangered, or even some of them recently extinct, because of that vulnerability to changes. We have also the fourth group of water birds, which never ever go into the water. But you will always find them very close to it. An example we have here, the wagtail. It doesn't swim. Well, it can enter very, very shallow water, but it doesn't swim, but you will always find it very close to the water, because simply it likes water close to water habitats. Whenever you are in a park where there is a water pool, you can take your kids there, show them the ducks, show them the swans. Of course, don't feed them with bread. And bear in mind that in some parts, particularly the swans, they can be aggressive when they don't get food. And when a swan comes out of the water, it's taller than your kids. So it's sometimes not very wise to allow the kids to approach too closely, because an angry swan may be dangerous.